live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant day and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini Channel I. We are ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I am Charita Binapurarachi, together with Dulanjali Anand. Creditors in the Paris Club ready to extend support to Sri Lanka is in the process to achieve the IMF facility. President says income lost in economic war can be restored. The elimination process is not a hindrance to local government polls, committee chairman says. CEB gives an undertaking to the Supreme Court over the scheduled power interruptions. President visits chief prelates of Malwatu and Asgiri chapters. A massive strike action in Britain.
For those and other stories in detail. The Paris Club of Creditor Nations is ready to provide financing assurances to Sri Lanka. Reuters global news agency in an article has said that the assurance from the Paris Club of Creditor Nations is a key step needed to unlock the bailout package extended by the International Monetary Fund. The Paris Club is an informal group of official creditors whose role is to find coordinated and sustainable solutions to the payment difficulties experienced by debtor countries. Comprised of 22 nations, the group has signed 433 agreements with 90 countries covering over $583 billion since 1956. Sri Lanka too has received credit facilities from the Paris Club during several occasions in the past. Reports have indicated that the Paris Club of Creditor Nations is all set to extend financing assurances to Sri Lanka. According to Reuters news agency, the informal group of bilateral lenders is set to announce its support to the crisis-hit nation in the coming days, which will be crucial for Sri Lanka's negotiations with the International Monetary Fund. Sri Lanka, faced with a soaring inflation, a recession and currency depreciation, entered into a staff-level agreement with the IMF last September. Sri Lanka requires financing assurances from key bilateral lenders before the fund's executive board approves the program. China and India, both non-Paris Club members, are the top bilateral lenders. India previously committed to help ease the debt burden of neighbouring Sri Lanka as part of the IMF program, and China's Exim Bank offered a 2-year moratorium in a letter sent to the country in January. Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that although lives lost during the war cannot be regained, the income lost during the economic war could be regained.
The President also pointed out that the stability of the political and territorial integrity of the country is the best factor to win over the economic war. President Ranil Wickremesinghe made these remarks while addressing the ceremony held yesterday at the Presidential Palace in Kandy to present the Distinguished Service Awards Vishishta Seva Vibhushana to 77 senior officers of the Tri-Forces. The award ceremony was organized in conjunction with the 75th Independence Day celebrations. The Vishishta Seva Vibhushana is a unique award and is awarded only to officers of the rank of Lieutenant Colonel and above in the Army, and officers holding similar ranks in the Navy and Air Force who have served at least 25 years of continuous service and holds an unblemished service record. In relation to the years of 2019, 2020, 2021, 53 Army officers, 17 Navy officers and 7 Air Force officers were awarded the medals during today's ceremony. The President also presented the 75th Independence Anniversary commemorative medals to 20 Tri-Forces personnel. Expressing his views at the ceremony, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the service awards were presented on the occasion of the 75th Independence Anniversary. He said that the award ceremony is the first event to be held to mark the 75th Independence Anniversary of the country. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the national commemorated the 50th anniversary of independence while the nation was at war. He said that the nation is commemorating our 75th Independence Day at a time when there is another conflict. He added that a significant economic battle is currently underway. He said that the country's economy has now totally collapsed. The President said that the nation's economic freedom will vanish if they fail to rebuild the economy and rescue from the debt trap. If the economic freedom of the country is lost, he said that the political freedom is of no use. The president said that they cannot surrender the economic powers of the world today. Building the economy should therefore be the priority, he added. The president said that the means of the people to live have to be facilitated and revive their lost sources of income. He said that many people are facing difficulties today. He added that some government employees are facing a situation where nothing of their salaries is spared after settling their loan installments and taxes. He said that the people bear the pressure and the government will be able to get rid of this pressure. The president said that he met the U.S. Undersecretary for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland yesterday. He added that they further expressed the U.S. government's support for the ongoing recovery efforts in the country. Hence, he said that many countries have expressed their support to Sri Lanka. President Wickremesinghe said in his belief the next 2 to 3 months the country would be able to complete the debts restructuring process. The dialogues with India and China have reached the final stage. He said that when they reach the agreement for debt restructuring from the International Monetary Fund, it would be accepted by the rest of the world. President Wickremesinghe said that in his belief the country would have a better economic situation by the end of this year. At the same time, he said that they would get an opportunity to provide some relief to all government employees. He said that they must drive the program forward, are not in a position to get out of it. He said that if the country is on the right path, they have to be strategic and then victory can be achieved. President Wickremesinghe said that there is only one difference between terrorist war and economic war. Lives were lost those days during the terrorist war, he added. Today, the president said that the country has lost the income. He said that they cannot give a life to those who lost, but the lost income can be recovered. As the government, he said that they are all committed to reviving the economy under this program.
The chairman of National Delimitation Committee, Mahinda Deshapriya, says that the delimitation process will not be a hindrance for the local government elections. He made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Chairman of National Delimitation Committee Mahinda Deshapriya said that the local government polls will not be hindered by the delimitation process as the committee report is expected to be submitted after 9th March. He said that Election Commission is at its maximum capacity. Yet he added that the conducting of polls will depend on the Election Commission and the judiciary, and the Finance Ministry will have the responsibility in between these two entities. The complaint lodged by Human Rights Commission against the Power and Energy Ministry Secretary, Ceylon Electricity Board Chairman and other respondents over the failure to abide by the agreement reached to provide an uninterrupted supply of power during the advanced level examination was taken up before the Supreme Court today.
Ceylon Electricity Board, giving an undertaking to the Supreme Court, informed that power cuts will not be imposed until the petitions are considered tomorrow. The petition was called before the Supreme Court judge bench comprising Justices Preeti Padman Surasena, Yasantha Kodagoda and Shiran Gunaratne. The legal counsels representing the respondents, including the CEB, requested the courts to fix the consideration of the petition tomorrow as they require more time to consult their clients. Member of the judge panel, Justice Yasantha Kodagoda, pointed out that it is not suitable to postpone the convening of the petition considering the urgency pertaining to the case. Accordingly, the Supreme Court postponed the convening of the petition until the afternoon, allowing the legal counsels to consult the respondents. Subsequently, CEB gave an undertaking citing that power cuts will not be imposed until then. Accordingly, the convening of the petition was postponed until tomorrow. The police headquarters is preparing to file an appeal against the release of convener of Inter-University Students' Federation, Vasantha Mudalige.
Accordingly, a request in this regard was directed to the Attorney General today. IUSF convener Vasantha Mudalige was remanded for the offences alleged to have committed under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Subsequently, he was produced to the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court and steps were taken to release him from remand custody. The police headquarters is preparing to file an appeal over the relevant court order pertaining to the existing legal provisions. Meanwhile, convening a media briefing, Vasantha Mudalige said that the struggle will not be turned back despite his release. He said that the struggle will continue until the Prevention of Terrorism Act is revoked.
රටේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්න කතා කරන කෙනාට කියන්නේ ත්‍රස්තවාදී කියලා නම් අපි ලෑස්ති ඒ ලේබල් එකෙන් ඒ රටේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රශ්න වෙනුවෙන් අකණ්ඩව සටන් කරන්න නිශ්චිතවම දැනටත් රැඳවුම් නියෝග ලබා දීම සහ රැඳවුම් නියෝග ලබා ගැනීම ඒ වගේම රඳවා තැබීම සම්බන්ධව
Meanwhile, social media activist Sanju Samarasinghe, alias Motivation Apache, has claimed that he had not intervened with the case pertaining to IUSF convener Vasanthi Mudanage. The Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority says more than 100,000 tourist arrivals have been recorded for the month of January 2023. Also, renowned travel website Big 7 Travel has recognized Sri Lanka as one of the 50 most Instagrammable places in the world in 2023.
A total of 102,545 arrivals reported within the first month of this year. The previous month recorded showed an increase of 20,218 tourist arrivals compared to the month of January in 2022. The highest number of tourists has arrived from Russia with a total of 25,254 arrivals. India has recorded 13,759 arrivals in the previous month, while 8,483 tourists have arrived from the UK. Subsequently, the most number of tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka has recorded from Germany, France, Canada, Australia, the United States, the Maldives and Israel. Meanwhile, renowned travel website Big 7 Travel has ranked Sri Lanka in the 9th position among the most desirable destinations in the world. Accordingly, the website has said that Sri Lanka is a destination worth a visit. With over 13 million Instagram hashtags and 16.4 billion TikTok views, Sri Lanka offers a unique blend of cultural, natural, historical attractions from the ancient rocks fortress of Sigiriya to the stunning beaches of the south coast, said the travel website in its description of Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, the all shares price index of the Colombo Stock Exchange exceed 9,000 points limit today after October 14th last year.
Manager of the Anuradhapura branch of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Tharaka Amarasena, said that the total market turnover today was over 1.8 billion rupees, while over 67 million shares were traded within the day.
Today is one of the significant days when we consider the performance of the Colombo Stock Exchange. Today, the all-share price index passed 9,000 points after 14th of October 2022. It has been increased by 72.37 and closed at 9,022.38. Also, the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 13.22 points and closed at 2,812.75. 67 million shares has been traded in 19,200 trades. When you consider about the turnover, it has been stated as 1.8 billion rupees and market capitalization was 3,926.78 billion rupees. Especially the foreign purchases were increased in a significant amount. When you look at the past few days performance, we can see a very positive momentum and a growth in investing in shares at Colombo Stock Exchange.
Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Lanka IOC has raised the price of a litre of octane 92 petrol by 30 rupees.
The new price came into effect from midnight yesterday. The price of a litre of octane 92 petrol was at 370 rupees. With the new price revision, the price of a litre of octane 92 petrol has been increased to 400 rupees. Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Lanka IOC have said the prices of other fuel types will remain unchanged. President of the All Ceylon Three-Wheelers Drivers Trade Union, Lalit Dharmaskirti, said that three-wheelers charges will not be increased despite the price increase.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe called on the chief prelates of the Malvathu and Askari chapters today and received their blessings.
The President visited the Malvathu Mahavihara and called on the Chief Prelate of the Malvathu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuwabe Sri Sumangala Nayaka Thera. The President inquired about his well-being and offered Atapedikara to the Mahasangha. The Mahasangha, led by Most Venerable Tibbatuwabe Sri Sumangala Nayaka Thera, invoked blessings on the President, and the Chief Prelate presented a special commemorative gift to the President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The President also made a special note in the commemorative book placed at the Malvathu Mahavihara. President Ranil Wickremesinghe then visited the Asgiri Mahavihare, called on the chief prelate of the Asgiri chapter, Most Venerable Warakagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thera, and engaged in a brief discussion. The president also inquired about the development activities of the Asgiri Mahavihare, and the Mahasangha led by the chief prelate of the Asgiri chapter chanted Set Pirit, invoking blessings on the president. Meanwhile, special commemorative stamp and commemorative coin issued on the occasion of the 75th independence anniversary presented to the President today at the Presidential Palace in Kandy. President Ranil Wickremesinghe received the commemorative stamp from Minister Bantula Gunawardena, and the commemorative coin was presented to the President by Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe. The Philatelic Bureau issued 50 rupees stamp, and first day car can be purchased from all post offices and sub-post offices in the island from today. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka issued an uncirculated commemorative coin in the denomination of 1000 rupees to mark the 75th anniversary of independence. Ministers, parliamentarians and state officials were present at this occasion. Today marks the World Wetland Day. It is a time for wetlands restoration in the theme of this year's celebration. World's Wetland Day, celebrated annually on February 2nd, aims to raise global awareness about the vital role of wetlands for people and planet. This day also marks the date of the adoption of the Convention on Wetlands on this day in the Iranian city of Ramsar. Nearly 90% of the world's wetlands have been degraded since the year 17th. And we are losing wetlands 3 times faster than forest. Yet wetlands are critically important ecosystems that contribute to biodiversity, climate mitigation and adaptation, freshwater availability and world economies. Accordingly, the global agencies have identified the urgency in raising national and global awareness on wetlands in order to reverse the rapid loss of encourage actions on conservation and restoration. United Nations Environmental Programme emphasized that the World's Wetland Day is the ideal time to increase people's understanding of these critically important ecosystems.
The Embassy of Indonesia in Sri Lanka organized 2 events marking the beginning of the new year. The activities were organized in collaboration with Sri Lanka-Indonesia Friendship Association. These 2 initiatives were organized to promote people-to-people relations between Indonesia and Sri Lanka. Accordingly, a social service project was organized by the Embassy and the Sri Lanka-Indonesia Friendship Association to distribute over 200 donation packages to disabled Sri Lankan families in Trincomalee and Kandy. The project was organized to commemorate the 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations and 30th anniversary of Sri Lanka-Indonesia Friendship Association. Another program, the SLIFA Member Night, was organized recently to enhance the friendship between the nations. Around 150 of its members and guests were entertained with various cultural performances and cuisines of both the nations. Ambassador of Indonesia to Sri Lanka, Devi Gustina Tobing, and President of SLIFA, Marlina Lakshana, were present during both these activities.
Around 109 acres of lands in North Walikamam in Jaffna, which was under the custody of security forces during the civil war, will be released and handed over to 197 families tomorrow. The land release program is implemented under the full supervision of the security forces. The relevant landowners were identified through a transparent process for the land release program, fulfilling President Ranil Wickremesinghe's promise to release the lands in the north and hand over them to their rightful owners prior to the 75th anniversary of independence. Accordingly, 5 plots occupied by the Sri Lanka Army and another plot occupied by the Sri Lanka Navy are to be handed over to the people. Of these lands, 13 acres of government-owned land in the North Palali area will be distributed among 75 families who were displaced by the war. Further, the town hall building located in the liberated area will be handed over to the Walikamam North Pradesh Sabha. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing, which is in charge of the resettlement process, to immediately provide resettlement assistance to 197 families to be resettled.
The several public rallies and meetings on upcoming local government polls were held yesterday. A discussion between Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and affiliated parties was held yesterday. The discussion was held with participation of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and National Organizer of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Basil Rajapaksa.
ඉංගට යන වැඩසටහන යෝජනා කරලා වැඩ කරන්න ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙනවා. මහරැලි කරාද නමං කරායි. ඒ වගේම මේක කොට්ටාසෙන් කොට්ටාසෙට පවතින ඡන්දයක්. කොට්ටාසෙන් කොට්ටාසෙට තමයි ගණන් කරන්නේ. ඒ නිසා මම කරන උපාය මාර්ග ඡන්ද ව්‍යාපාරේ හොඳට තියෙනවා.
සමගි ජනබලවේගයේ සංවිධානය
The meeting organized by Samagi Janabalawegaya was held in Kinya area with the participation of party leader Sajith Premadasa.
डेप्यूटी चेयरमैन मंत्रीवरुंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किरीम तहनं बस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तहनं वैली कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तहनं पारवल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट तहनं जनता संपत् उपयोगी करගෙන मंत्रीवරු පෝසත්තුණු කාලේ ඉවරයි. පොර දූෂිත සංස්කෘතිය අපි ඉවත් කරනවා කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. මිත්‍රවරුනි මම පැහැදිලිව කියන්න කැමතියි. අපේ ආණ්ඩුවත් සමගි ජනබලවේග ආණ්ඩුව IMF එකත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරනවා. හැබැයි අපි කරන ගනුදෙනුව අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ජීවිත විනාශ කරන්නට නොව මිනිස්සුන්ව ජීවත් කරවන්නටයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න කැමතියි.
A public rally organized by National People's Power was held in Eragama area in Ampara.
Met Department says showers or thundershowers will occur in north central and eastern provinces. The Met Department announces has further indicated that showers or thundershowers may occur in other parts of the country during the evening and at night. Showers or thundershowers above 100 millimeters will occur at times in some places in northern, north central, northwestern, eastern and Puttalam district. The depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal has entered through the east coast of country early this morning and currently moving across the country. The Met Department has further advised the fishing and naval communities not to venture into respective activities into the sea areas of the coast extending from Mathura to Trincomalee, via Colombo, Puttalam, Manna and Kankasanture until tomorrow morning. The department has also requested to be vigilant in the other sea areas around the country. A special traffic plan in place for Colombo city until the 4th line with the 75th independence ceremony.
The rehearsals of the Independence Day ceremony will be held tomorrow. Meanwhile, the police headquarters has informed that the special traffic plan will not hinder the residents of the closed areas from travelling to their businesses and offices. Accordingly, the vehicular movement in Colombo 1, 2, 3, 4 and 7 has been restricted in the coming days from 5 am to 12 noon. The traffic in the Galle Face section, Shaitya Road, on the Colombo Galle Road will be curtailed during the period. Vehicles entering the station road from the Kolupitia junction and entering to the Galle Road roundabout will also be restricted. Vehicular movement in roads including St. Michael's Road, Rotunda Gardens, Lotus Road, York Street, Chatham Street, Mudalige Mawatha and Baranjayatilaka Road will be restricted. Similarly, entry to the YMBA roundabout and the Ceramic Junction via the Telecom headquarters has also been restricted. The entry to the Galle Face from the new Baladaksha Mawatha and entry and exit from Bambalapitia Junction to Kolupitia on the Galle Road as well as entry from the Samudra Mawatha have also been restricted from 6 p.m. tomorrow until February 4th, 10 a.m. The entry from Tumula Junction via the Baudaloka Mawatha to R.A.D. Mill Mawatha and entry to the Library Roundabout from the Flower Road Junction via Anandakumaraswamy Mawatha have also been curtailed. Residents in the restricted areas will be allowed to travel during the stipulated period on the advice of the police. Necessary facilities have been allocated for the buses and other vehicles to travel to Colombo Fort via Bambalapiti and Tumula and via Kolupitia Liberty Roundabout and Dharmapala Mawatha. Buses exiting Petta and Colombo will be permitted to travel via Olcott Mawatha, Technical College Junction, Panchikawatha and Maradana. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs has taken steps to organize an exhibition of artifacts and archived documents in parallel to the 75th Independence Day. The exhibition will be held at the National Museum in Colombo. In the meantime, a cultural show included with ballet performances illustrating the 75th 5 years of journey to independence will be held on the eve of the Independence Day. The event will be held at the Independence Square. The State Minister Ranjit Singh Lapitia says the facts uncovered by the committee appointed to investigate the excessive import of rubber as a raw material will be submitted to President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
He said that the decision was taken during a meeting held with the relevant committee at the Ministry of Finance recently. The relevant committee, headed by the Secretary of the Ministry of Plantation Industries, BLAJ Dharmakirti, was appointed on October 9, 2022. Due to the measures taken by the committee, the import of surplus rubber came down rapidly. In the month of December 2022, compared to the same month last year, the import of rubber fell by 93% and the export of rubber-related products also increased by 39%. The committee had lengthy discussions over the protection of the local rubber groves. It was revealed during the meeting that certain multinational companies are still importing rubber at high prices by highlighting the quality of rubber.
The Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation has directed its attention to maximize revenue generation from sunken and derelict vessels in Sri Lanka's territorial waters. A special discussion was held in this regard at the ministry. Instructions were issued to take maximum benefit from these vessels to local economy and to preserve such in view of archaeological importance of necessary. At the discussions, it was revealed that a large number of tourists are interested in exploring the sites of sunken vessels in local waters, which is also facilitated by a number of international ocean explorations and diving teams. Accordingly, Minister Nimalsiri Pala De Silva instructed to implement a suitable process with the Ministry of Tourism, Sri Lanka Navy and private tour and travel companies to facilitate the program. It was decided to salvage any vessel with no archaeological value at these sites and sell for scrap and credit revenue to the government account. The minister pointed out that according to maritime law, if rights over a sunken ship were not presented within a period of 1 year, the ownership of the ship would fall on the government that owned the ocean territory and that there existed no impediment to scrapping for the sale of the same. The minister also ordered relevant officials to look into 6 of such vessels anchored at Colombo, Galle and Trincomalee ports for more than 6 years and consider expediting legal process to obtain the maximum revenue to Sri Lanka Ports Authority out of these abandoned vessels. Now, even though feeding animals is a virtuous deed, feeding wild elephants on the side of the roads without realizing the consequences may negatively impact both the elephant as well as the people.
One of the main features of the Udawalawe sanctuary in the wild elephant Bullet. In the year 1998, the jumbo was shot by an unknown gunman and suffered severe injuries. He was being named Bullet due to the number of gun wounds inflicted on the tusker. Then the tusker was transferred to the Ath Athuru Sevana Center for immediate treatments and it recovered well under the care of the physicians. In 2004, Bullet tusker was transferred from Settikulama Vavdia to Udawalawe sanctuary. However, the tusker is now used to visit the roadside to munch the food handed out by the people, which has become a great threat to its life. Deaths pertaining to human-elephant conflict increased during the past year. Upon inquiries on this, it was revealed that people, especially tourists, have the habit of feeding wild elephants while traveling along the roads. The elephant became agitated when they are not fed with food items, hence a tendency to attack vehicles as well as people commuting along the road. Wild elephants are also getting attracted to the sugarcane cultivations along the Thanamalvila road in Udawalawe in effort to find food. Udawalawe National Park is a sanctuary for wild elephants and one of the most tourist attractive hotspots in the country. Within the park, the elephants tend to live freely without the interactions of the people, and such sites bring enchanting sceneries for the locals as well as tourists to enjoy. That's it for local news. Stay tuned with international news after this break.
Foreign news. More than half of schools in England either restricted attendance or closed during teacher strikes on Wednesday, government data suggested.
And teachers in England and Wales were among thousands of workers taking actions during what was said to be the biggest strike day for a decade. University staff, train drivers, bus drivers and civil servants separately walked out. Most were taking actions or paid not keeping pace with inflation. Department for Education estimates on school closures released on the day were based on the attendance data from 77%, which is 16,400 on state-funded primary and secondary schools in England. The department said the data showed 43.9% of the schools were fully open. 42.8% of the open but restricting attendance and 8.9% were fully closed. Education Secretary Guliana Kigang said that grateful to head the teachers for how they have worked to keep schools open. Conversations with the unions are ongoing and I will be continuing with the discussions around pay, workload, recruitments and retention and more. Welcome back with sports update. And veteran Sri Lankan athlete Susansika Jayasinghe was appointed as an advisor to Sri Lanka women's cricket, and Sri Lanka cricket announced the achievement.
The aim of this appointment is to promote women's cricket in Sri Lanka. The appointment will come to effect from February 1st. Today is the third day of the four-day unofficial test match between English Lions and Sri Lanka A team. Sri Lanka scored 136 runs for their first innings. In response, English Lions scored 476 runs for their first innings. Sri Lanka at close of play today was at 580 runs for the loss of 3 wickets in their second innings. Nishan Madhushankar scored 207 runs for Sri Lanka. Tomorrow is the fourth and final day of the match.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. I'm Charita, signing off with Dulanjali. Stay safe. Good night.